Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good morning, everybody. You all are welcome to the Sunday service here. And today, this morning, we are going to meditation few minutes. And after that, our Dhamma friend, Ananda Coranado, is going to give the Dhamma talk today. So before that, we're gonna do the practice and we're gonna do the loving kindness meditation. So meditation will be done by our Dr. Venerable Bhante Panyaloka. Bhante Panyaloka, you can start the loving kindness meditation.
Take a moment to relax yourself. Take deep breathing 3 times. And feel the sensations. We are not in a hurry to practice the loving kindness meditation. Relax yourself. Relax your mind. Relax your thoughts. Relax your body. Close your eyes only if you are comfortable. It will help you to focus your thoughts on the loving kindness meditation. And go ahead like this few minutes. Feel the sensation. Breathe in and breathe out slowly. We are going to practice the loving kindness meditation, beginning from ourselves, and then we are going to spread loving kindness thoughts to our family members, friends, relatives, and to the all beings in the universe. Focus on these loving kindness thoughts. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always find fulfillment. May I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my teachers, parents, brothers and sisters, friends and relatives, and even my enemies be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Like this practice, loving kindness, spread loving kindness thoughts to the whole universe, beginning from yourself. When you hear the bell, you can stop your silent meditation. May all beings in the universe be well, happy, and peaceful.
Suneetha for leading the meditation, and it's time to listen a nice Dhamma talk by Ananda Coranado. So Ananda, take your chance.
Thank you so much, Bante. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for allowing me to give this talk. I'm very grateful, and I would like to say thank you to everyone for coming to the temple today. It's good to see so many people. Before I talk about the Buddha's life story, I would to say mention a book that I read a long time ago, and it was about a man. His name was Joseph Campbell, and he was a mythologist, and he studied mythology from all over the world. And when he was getting kind of old, he came up with an idea. And he said, after studying myths from all over the world, he said that there was one thing that all of these myths had in common. He said that they all had a story about a hero. And eventually he started talking about heroes influence the kind of qualities that people desire. So for example, in ancient Greece, the hero was Hercules. And the qualities that Hercules had, the people would aspire to try to develop these. So today we have our heroes, we have musicians, athletes, and they are very influential. So in Buddhism, we also have a hero, and the hero is the Buddha. And the story I have selected today is a story that I think shows the kind of qualities that the Buddha had, and why he was able to have an effect on ancient Indian society, and why he was able to inspire people many hundreds of years later, 2,500 years later. And hopefully, next time you come and you bow to the Buddha, you will remember that when we bow to the Buddha, we're not worshiping idols, we're not praying or asking for things, we're venerating the qualities of the Buddha. So, in ancient India, during the Buddha's life, there was 4 main castes. The warrior caste, the Kshatriyas, the priestly caste, the Brahmins, the merchant caste, and then there was another caste that was called the untouchables, the Sudras. And these people, including women, were very marginalized in society. They had to be very careful because they couldn't let their shadow touch anyone. They couldn't make eye contact, they couldn't speak. And so let me just say one thing. Después de la plática voy a repetir esta historia en español. So the story today is going to be a conversation that the Buddha had with a member of the Sudra class, which is these people that are untouchables, that are slaves, that are outcasts, and how the Buddha was able to change in a way the society that he lived in. So in the ancient Indian kingdom of Kosala, the Buddha was traveling and he arrives at a small little village. And when he's getting there, the people in the village, they're getting ready and to give a big welcome to the Buddha. So they're cleaning up the place. And Suneetha, who's the person in the story, his job was he would have to take the garbage and the feces out of the city. So he was always smelled bad. And today, when the Buddha's coming to town, he's there sweeping up the village. And the Buddha arrives, and some people see Suneetha cleaning, and they tell him, "Oh, what are you doing? Get out of here, stinker. You better not let the Buddha see you." And then, as they're saying that, the Buddha arrives, and the Buddha stops, and he looks right at Suneetha. And Suneetha gets very scared, and Suneetha starts to run away. And Suneetha's running away, and eventually he stops, takes his breath, and he turns around, and he sees the Buddha, and the Buddha's walking right towards him. He picks up his things again, and he starts running again even faster. And as he's running, he's turning around, and when he turns around, he sees that the Buddha is still walking right behind him. But Suneetha's running as fast as he can, and the Buddha is walking very slowly. And Suneetha is running, and he's turning around, and he sees that he cannot make no separation. And the Buddha's just walking at a normal pace. So eventually Suneetha's running as fast as he can. He falls and he drops all the things that he's carrying, the pots, and he gets all full of the stuff. And then he says to the Buddha, "Lord, please forgive me. I would not dare to look at you. I am a member of the Sudras." And the Buddha tells Suneetha, Suneetha, would you like to leave this work behind and come and become a monk? And Suneetha says, if you would accept a scavenger like me, I will follow you for the rest of my life. And the Buddha says, come, Suneetha. And Suneetha says, but Lord, I would pollute the community. And the Buddha says, no, the only thing that can pollute us is greed, hate, and delusion. And so Suneetha follows the Buddha with tears in his eyes. And eventually the Buddha sees Ananda and Moggallana, and he tells them, find a place for Suneetha to get clean and then get a robe, and I will ordain him myself. So the Buddha eventually ordains this outcast, and the people in the village hear about that. And the people, they start to get upset because they don't know who's Suneetha and they don't want to bow to him. So what happens is that they stop offering the monks food, they stop worshiping the monks, and eventually Ananda comes and he tells the Buddha, Lord, they're not giving alms, they're not respecting us. I think that the Buddha tells Ananda, what should we do? And Ananda says, I think that we should pack up and leave. And then the Buddha says, and go where? And he says, to some other village. And then the Buddha says, what if we go there and they do the same thing? Ananda says, well, we'll pack up and leave again. And the Buddha says, no, that's not the way to deal with the problems. We have to deal with the problems straight up. This will be very difficult at first, but it will open the door for a lot of people that will be grateful for us in the future. And the Buddha then told Ananda, it was only a matter of time before I allowed the Sudras to ordain. And so Ananda and them agree, and eventually the king of that kingdom, his name was Pasenadi, he finds out that the Buddha had ordained these slaves. And so he goes to talk to the Buddha. And when he gets to talk to the Buddha, to the temple, there's a monk sitting on the top of a rock. And the king arrives, and he introduces himself, and he says, may I talk to the Buddha? And the monk that was sitting on top of the rock disappears. And then he reappears. And then he says, oh, the Buddha can talk to you now. And he takes him to see the Buddha. And when he gets there, the Buddha says, hello, Your Majesty. And the king says, oh, I would like to say how impressed I am by this monk here. He's very kind and courteous. And the Buddha says, what brings you here, Your Majesty? And the king says, oh, I have heard rumors that you have ordained an outcast. And this is very concerning because people believe that if they bow to him, that their own caste, they'll get demoted. And then the Buddha says, oh, you see that monk right there that you just bowed to? That's Suneetha right there. And then the king says, oh, wow, how impressive it is that you're able to transform people's lives. And then the Buddha tells the king that we need to work together to make a society where everyone is treated with dignity and everyone is allowed to reach their full potential. And the king agreed to let the Buddha ordain more of these people and in the Buddhist community, in the Sangha. And the Buddha agreed to not interfere into any kind of politics. And so that was the beginning of the Buddha. I think this may have been like 15 to 20 years into the Buddha after he became enlightened. And eventually the Buddha would allow women to ordain. And the Buddha took a lot of heat for that. There was a lot of people in ancient India that thought that he was a revolutionary, that he wanted to overthrow the system. And there's a lot of stories of people that come and complain to the Buddha about this. Like someone came really upset because his daughters had become nuns. And they were criticizing the Buddha and blaming him. And then the Buddha asked that person, have you ever received a gift? And he says, yes. And he says, if you don't accept the gift, who keeps it? And that person said, the one who offered it keeps it. And the Buddha said, in the same way, if you come and you give hate, if I don't accept it, who keeps it? And the person thought, we're the one that keeps it. So this is like one of the qualities, the Buddha's compassion, how the Buddha was able to make Suneetha feel important. When the Buddha spoke to Suneetha, one of the things that Suneetha thought was that I have never been spoken to in such a kind way. No one has even called me by my name before. So I like that because we can incorporate these qualities into our life. We can make people feel important. We can have more compassion for people. And so when the Buddha is your hero, you start to take these qualities too. So I'm going to end by reading one of these poems that Suneetha wrote after he became enlightened and learned how to write. He writes, "In a lowly family I was born, poor, with next to no food. My work was degrading. I gathered the spoiled, the withered flowers from shrines and threw them away. People found me disgusting, despised me, disparaged me. Lowering my heart, I showed reverence to many. Then I saw the one self-awakened, arrayed with a squadron of monks, the great hero, entering the city, supreme of the Magadhans. Throwing down my carrying pole, I approached him to do reverence. He, the supreme man, stood still out of sympathy just for me. After paying homage to the feet of the teacher, I stood to one side and requested the going forth from him. Supreme among all living beings, the compassionate teacher, sympathetic to all the world, said, 'Come, monk.' That was my formal acceptance. Alone, I stayed in the wild. Untiring, I followed the teacher's words, just as he, the conqueror, had taught me. In the first watch of the night, I recollected previous lives. In the middle watch, purified the divine night. In the last, burst the mass of darkness." So that's the story of Suneetha, and I would like to just repeat it in Spanish. La historia, no sé si entendieron, pero la historia que dije ahorita es de un miembro de esclavos durante el tiempo del Buda, que el Buda rescató, y el lugar donde se conocieron fue, este señor que se llamaba Suneetha estaba barriendo la calle y una gente lo criticó, le dijeron que se fuera, y el Buda lo vio, y Suneetha lo vio también y se asustó y empezó a correr. Y estaba corriendo bien rápido y el Buda lo estaba siguiendo. Y el Buda estaba caminando y Suneetha estaba corriendo, pero Suneetha no se podía separar del Buda. Hasta que Suneetha se cayó y luego el Buda se acercó y el Buda le dijo, Suneetha, ¿quieres dejar esta vida y venir y ser un monje? Y Suneetha le dijo, si me aceptas yo te seguiría, pero yo voy a contaminar la comunidad de monjes. Y el Buda le dijo, no, la única cosa que nos contamina es el odio y la delusión. Y el Buda le dijo, ven Suneetha. Y Suneetha estaba bien feliz porque nadie nunca lo había hablado con él así, o lo había tratado, o lo había llamado por su nombre. Y luego después mucha gente se enteró que el Buda había hecho un monje, un esclavo, y empezaron a quejar. Y el rey se enteró de eso y el rey fue a hablar con el Buda. Y cuando fue a hablar con el Buda, había un monje que estaba ahí sentado y que el rey le preguntó, ¿puedo hablar con el Buda? Y el monje se desapareció y luego se apareció y el rey vio eso y el rey estaba bien impresionado y le hizo reverencia. Y luego fue a hablar con el Buda y le dijo, tengo un problema que oí que estás haciendo monjes los esclavos, por favor no hagas eso. Y el Buda le dijo, ¿ves ese monje ahí? Ese es Suneetha. Y el rey le dijo, oh, que es increíble cómo puedes transformar las vidas de la gente. Y el Buda le dijo que tenemos que trabajar para hacer una sociedad donde todos los tratamos con dignidad y todos pueden llegar a su potencial completa. Y esta fue la manera que el Buda abrió las puertas para mucha gente en esa sociedad, para mujeres, para esclavos, y esa es una de las calidades, yo creo que el Buda hacía a la gente sentir importante. So that's the end of the story. I think hopefully if you could take anything, is the Buddha one time he said that just like all the rivers eventually reach the ocean, and they lose their name, and they lose their designation, and they become just part of the ocean. In the same way, all the people that come and become monks, they lose their name, their class, who they used to be, and they become a part of the community. They reach the ocean. And just like the ocean has the taste of salt, the Buddha's teaching, the Dhamma, has the taste of liberation. So I think this is a very inspiring story of the Buddha. And on the final note, I would like to say that in Thailand, when I go visit Thai temples, some of the meditations are a little bit different. And they meditate sometimes on the image of the Buddha. And so you can do that. The Buddha's a great leader, an extraordinary being, but anyone that changes your life for the better, your grandparents, your loved ones, your teachers, we revere those people. And we revere them by becoming more like them. And so it's a great thing, like when you come to the temple, you could talk about the Buddha's teaching, you could talk about the Buddha, or you could talk about the meditation, and all of those should have some kind of like transformation in your life. So that's the story of Suneetha, and I thank you all for coming, and if you have any questions, you can ask Stephen.
I just wanted to appreciate like very precious story. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job translating too. It was pretty much the same story both times.
Yeah.
Really good job.
I wish I could understand Spanish.
Can't remember which one you forgot in Spanish though. Was it greed? Or
Yeah, I did forget greed. Greed, how do you?
I can't remember how to say it.
No. Do you know how to say greed? No, maybe tacaño? Oh. Yeah, so the Buddha, in ancient Indian society, they were funny because they thought that if you talked to a Sudra, that you would get corrupted. And then so the Buddha said, come follow me and become a monk. And he said, I would pollute the community. And the Buddha said, no. The only things that pollute us are greed, hate, and delusion. Yes, sir.
I think this is too much. I've been watching online, and I was wondering if you two, this is a little place, if you could just take off your glasses. I would really like to see your face without those.
I can't see you.
I can see you. You can put it back on if you want. Thank you.
Ananda, did Suneetha attain the Rashmi?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, if his story was included at all in the Therigatha, which is the verses of the elders, every single one of those poems is put together by someone who was enlightened. So like, it's actually really great reading not just the Therigatha, but the Therigatha, which is the verses of the nuns, because in the same way that you have someone like this who came from a great state of disenfranchisement, right? It also went for women of any status. And so you read their poems, and they're all poems of just how grateful they are to get away from lay life and to just be a monastic, and then of course to reach the goal. And all of them are talking about what it meant to put together a household, what it meant to do all the cooking and cleaning, what it meant to have the children, and to also lose those children in a time when infant mortality was really high and everything. And just all the trials and tribulations of being a person in the world at that time. And every single one of them is inspiring because there's someone who has achieved the goal. And they'll often do the same thing that you heard in this poem, where they talk about what they saw. They meditated and they had these experiences. They actually got to experience the deathless. They were completely unbound. And then they have that same exclamation of like, wow, like I did it. The work is done. Like this big task that I had is complete. My heart is free. And so you read so many poems like that. The Therigatha, which is the verses of the elder monks, and the Therigatha, which is the verses of the elder nuns. And all of them are arhats. And they all have interesting stories to tell.
And I would also like to say that when the Buddha became enlightened, 35 years old, he was teaching in ancient India for 47 years. And in this time, there's so many stories like Suneetha, where he was helping people, where he was inspiring people, where he was giving people confidence. And the more I read these, the more sometimes I practice these things too. And I can deal with people, and the Buddha had a great quality of just knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to talk to the kings, and opening the door, like he said. And also too, it showed the Buddha's vision. Like he didn't automatically allow these people to ordain, and he didn't automatically allow women to ordain, but he did have that in his vision, and he was waiting for an opportunity. Like he told Ananda, it was only a matter of time before I allowed these people to ordain. So he knew what he was doing, but he was waiting, and so like his vision was so grand. He was thinking sometimes, I think maybe 1,000 years that his teaching would last. And so I do think that he was an extraordinary person, that he had an effect on the history of the world, that he inspired a lot of people. Like, who do you know that can inspire people to renounce all of their possessions and to live a holy life? There's not a lot of people that can inspire like that. So that's the great thing about Buddhism, is that you have a great teaching, you have a great teacher. ¿No tienen preguntas en español? Okay.
Ananda, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because you mentioned that he didn't involve himself in politics, right? But in a sense, the whole teachings is pretty radical and political. It seems like, to renounce material and everything, because material is a form of materialism is a form of politics, because it's feeding into especially here in the West, right?
Yeah.
Like into capitalism.
It's like the social political.
Yeah. And to be able to, if you release the attachment to your status, I guess here, being of low socioeconomic status or whatever status you are, if you release that attachment to that, in a sense, you're decreasing the suffering, right? And then that is something that's political and radical, right?
There's elements of political too. Like I remember in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, in the last, the sutta that talks about the dying days of the Buddha, he does give political advice, because a king comes, and one of the things about the Buddha though in his life is that sometimes he stopped wars, sometimes he convinced kings not to go to war. And so he did talk a little bit about politics, but he said a lot of things he talked about, but he didn't want to talk about it. Like sometimes Ananda would come and ask him all the time, when someone would die, where did they go? What place did they reborn? And the Buddha would answer, but then he told him, no, don't ask me that no more. It's not right for me to be always telling you. And sometimes he did, one time he tried to stop a war, because one of these two kingdoms were going to fight over a river. And in ancient India, the warriors and the priests were sometimes argued who is the more higher class. And so they were about to fight, and the Buddha asked one of the kings there, because they're going to fight over a river. And he asked them, what is more valuable, the life of a warrior or the water? And the guy said, the life of a warrior is much more than the water. And he said, well, you're about to go and kill a lot of warriors over some water. And they would still not listen. They were still getting ready to fight. So the Buddha, what he had to do is he did a miracle. And he floated up in the air, and he made water and fire come out of his nostrils. So he was not for performing miracles, but in that case he did. I remember one time, the Buddha and Ananda needed to cross a river. And there were some people there that did a miracle, and they flew over the river. And then the Buddha got on the ferry, and then he asked the ferryman, how much do you charge for crossing people? And the ferryman said, we charge 50 cents. And then the Buddha told Ananda, you see, that miracle was worth 50 cents. So the Buddha talked about not interfering in politics, but sometimes he did talk about it. Sí.
Quiero agradecer por habernos dado la explicación en español. La explicación lo que tiene inglés, pero me gusta tener la explicación. Y poco a poco estoy aprendiendo y pues gracias.
De nada. Hoy fue la plática como de la historia del Buda, Pero a las otras veces podemos hablar de la enseñanza o de la meditación también. Like these are the stories of the Buddha that I think inspire you, but the real benefit of the Buddha is this teaching that gives you freedom, that gives you liberation, that allows you to kind of like break the ego, that makes you feel bad. That's the real benefit of the Buddha's teaching. These stories are inspiring, but they're not what's going to get you to grow to like what the Buddha called the further shore. Sí.
Yo quería preguntar como qué tipo de libros puedo comprar para tener como los sutras,
Ujú.
porque escucho a veces en audiolibros algunos, pero no sabría cómo ir de un principio.
Como en español,
Sí,
no están traducidos en español todavía.
o
No,
todavía.
apenas.
Sutras?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
There are?
There's one from Bhikkhu Bodhi that was translated into Spanish.
Ajá.
That's the words of the Buddha. But I can't remember the title in Spanish anymore. But I
Ma-
have it. If you want it, I'll bring it next time.
Oh, sure. The one.
I have my dad started translating some of the Majjhima Nikaya into Spanish, but it's not finished.
Oh, ok. Porque yo escucho en muchos audiolibros en YouTube, por ejemplo, el Dhammapada, las enseñanzas del Buda, muchos, y están perfectamente, pero me gustaría tener un libro en especial para ir. Como escucho algún sutra, como el que mencionaste, sutra de loto, sutra de diferentes, pero no sabía cómo enumerarlos para ir en un...
So, como en todo el Pali Canon,
Ajá, por ejemplo.
está dividido en 5 partes.
Es lo- ajá.
Como las sutras, hay las sutras cortas, las sutras de mediano tamaño, de tamaño mediano, las sutras más largas, las sutras que están conectadas y luego las sutras que van por número. So, por ejemplo, en el budismo tienes cosas como los Four Noble Truths o Eightfold Path. So, en ese de los números puedes ir como al número 4 y ahí vas a encontrar del Four Noble Truths. O puedes ir como del 8 en Eightfold Path o del 7, Seven Factors of Enlightenment, así.
Sí, algo así quiero.
Sí.
¿Cómo dices? ¿Cómo se llama? ¿O cómo lo-
So, hay 5, pero you can...
No, the actual books aren't all translated, right?
Right.
So you're not going to find like Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, and everything. So you'll find like anthologies. So it's different parts from different books altogether, and there are those in Spanish. También mi maestro tiene libros en español.
Oh,
Sí.
perfecto. Bueno, gracias.
Ajá.
Entonces, espero gracias.
Okay, yeah. On the final note, maybe, all of us can be a little bit like the Buddha and we can go and we can smile and we can energize people and we can give a little bit of confidence to people, and like that we're building up our good karma. And we're doing one more thing. When the Buddha was about to die, he had selected his final resting place. And on the way there, all of the monks would come and pay their final respects and line up on the road to bow. And then the Buddha saw that there was a monk that was missing. And then the Buddha said, "Where is this monk?" And they said, "We don't know." And then the Buddha said, "Go and call him." And they went to go call him. And the Buddha, when he got there, the Buddha asked him, "How come you didn't come to pay your final respects?" And the monk says, "Oh, I thought that by meditating and gaining enlightenment, I would pay my respects." And the Buddha tells all the monks, "You see that this monk has understood my teaching." So that's what it's about. It's about really practicing and applying it and not just talking about it. So thank you so much.
I believe there's no more questions, and actually thank you very much, Ananda Coranado.
Thank you.
So you did a good job, really. It was so amazing, really. So you did a both language, Spanish and English. It's very, very well, and a lot of Spanish people also here. They could understand, and they were able to understand what you're talking about. And I think that's the best way to give the Buddhism to spread the world, And also, thank you for everybody for coming to the service today. And especially he was giving Dhamma talk regarding the story of the Suneetha. And our Lord Buddha, he used to give when every day as a daily activity, as a routine. Once he wake up, he look at the world who need my help today. That was his routine. And that time the Buddha saw, I need to help to the Suneetha. Those way Buddha helped so many people, Suneetha, Sopaka, Rajumala, Patachara, Kisagatami, and so many people they call like helping the helpless, right? So Buddha helped so many people, and after that Buddha had a special thing, we call that higher compassion. We also have the compassion, but we don't have the higher compassion. We can say if someone try with the helping helpless, we can help them. But Buddha able to give them a Dhamma talk regarding thinking about her or his mind situation, and Buddha able to give him the real path, and after that they were able to get the arahantship, the Nibbana. So the Suneetha also able to get the Nibbana and the end of the samsaric life. So the Buddha has that special thing. So anyway, he was given the Dhamma talk regarding that topic. So thank you very much again, Ananda Coranado. So we are going to read the page number 4 and page number 10.
I'm very sorry, very sorry. Just two quick questions. Is there another service after this at noon?
Sorry?
No. Okay. And then, how, did you know that your phone number is inactive
Whose phone number?
on Google?
No.
Yes. I see BL. Can't miss it. It's just Google. There's no active number. I tried. I don't want to.
So we should correct the number on the website?
It's not on the website, it's on Google. Google has a directory of everything. And I use it.
Okay, sorry for that. So I will look it up today.
No, sorry, I just.
It's okay, I will look it up today also. Okay, now we're going to read the page number 4 and page number 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Dueling passions are inhospitable. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. Thank you for everybody and most venerable monks and our Dhamma teachers and all our Dhamma followers. You all thank you for coming to the meditation and service today. And also we have a few announcements. Next week is the second week of the month. And that day our Dhamma teacher Silas Maharajan, he is going to be here for the Dhamma talk. And also 10 a.m. morning time we have the meditation. Please come and join with us. Maybe meditation will be conducted by me or Subodha, or both of us. And come and join for the meditation and service also. And also I have to say something especially. Our abbot, most venerable Bhante Shanti, he wasn't here today because he is running NAS, and he said, I don't want to go there because people will be scared. That's why I can't go there, and I believe he will be here next week. So that's it. And please come and join to the service at least. Do the compassion for the people, even just a word. Even just say good morning to the people so nicely and smile with the people. It's enough for even it's enough for the compassion, right? So try to keep it in your mind and practice every moment, every day, every single day. So it will be helpful for your spiritual happiness. And as we are monks, we wish you all to fulfill achievement of bliss of supreme nibbana liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I have one quick question, please. Was that 8 a.m. next week?
10 a.m.
No,
10
10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 11 morning meditation.